Welcome back to the Believeland Prep Podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Palmer, along with my phenomenal sidekick, Derek Dimmitt. How are we doing so far?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. We're 2 weeks into the high school football season, and some schools haven't even gone back yet. So it's
that's
getting,
that's true. So
but
I
yeah,
think we're 2 weeks
been
into the
some
volleyball season as well.
right, yes, and
I've had some good volleyball.
we've been covering some great games here. We got some good ones this weekend, and uh, excited to talk about them.
Oh yeah. So I'll start with my two games from this weekend. I covered Kenston and the West Geauga Wolverines on Friday. Kenston did what they do, 49-14. They beat West Geauga. Kaltenbach, 17 of 31, 213 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and an interception that he threw kind of late when it didn't matter as much. But two interceptions in 2 weeks. I talked to him a little bit about it after the game. It's just something he's working to clean up. They have Chagrin Falls this week. Uh, per people I know from Kenston, probably going to be the way it normally is, and just a kind of a blowout. It's their rivalry game, so I know that they're going into that one with some big time mentality. Coach Grubich with a good message after the game. Despite the big win, he's like, "Hey, we still got to get better. You win by 35, still got to get better." But he had 2 carries for 7 yards and a touchdown. He actually scored first, a 5-yard carry, and put their first touchdown on the board. He had another one later on in the game that got called back. They had a lot of penalties, something they need to clean up from the past couple of weeks. I've seen throughout their stats. Sean Patrick did what he does: 10 carries, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 receptions for 37 yards. Cohen Clark, 8 carries, 59 yards, and a touchdown. Kind of the unsung hero of that running back room. Doesn't get talked about a lot, being overshadowed, and I want to give him his roses as he deserves. He's had 2 really good games as the RB2 for Kenston, and him only being a junior, I think him and Kaltenbach are really going to shine next year, having a whole year together in the system, and then next year as seniors. That's something I'll look forward to a lot once this season's all said and done. Dylan Krupp, the leading receiver again for Kenston, 5 receptions, 91 yards, and a touchdown. I talked to him about his relationship with Kaltenbach because it's been very apparent through the past couple of weeks the way that they connect offensively, and obviously his number one option. Brandon Bell, 2 receptions, 21 yards, and a touchdown. Just kind of doing what they do. Sam Meeks, I want to give him a shout out. Defensive lineman. A punt got blocked. OSG punt got blocked, and I don't know, the ball was sitting at like the 1 yard line, and he just kind of came sliding in like it was home plate. Collects the ball, rolls into the end zone for a special teams touchdown. It was cool. I honestly wasn't even paying attention. I look up, and next thing I know, I see the ball at the 1 yard line, and then here comes this big dude just hauling, trying to score. I was like, oh, okay. Anyways, I had probably my best game of the season score wise. Lake Catholic defeats Holy Name 39-20. Scoreboard might say it might have been a blowout, but it started off very interesting. Frankie Trinetti, 13 of 22, 252 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. Actually, one of his first passes of the game was a pick six to William Dix Jr. and Holy Name started off on the board 7-0 after that pick six. But I think Frankie, he rebounded really, really well. To throw a pick six on your first drive, probably when you're maybe his third pass of the day, and then to come back and throw for 4 touchdowns, all big play touchdowns for the most part, 30, 40-yard strikes, just kind of a crazy bounce back. The running back, Josh Stiles, 27 carries, 183 yards, and a touchdown, and he had 1 catch for 27 yards. Ace Peterland was kind of the star of the show, 7 receptions, 112 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, and 3 carries, 11 yards for a touchdown. His jet sweep in the first quarter put them on the board early. They did miss the PAT, so they were down 1 after that, which was crazy. Holy Name took the field on offense, up by 1, after giving up a touchdown defensively, and they still had a lead. I thought it was crazy. But big time game from Cross Nemo. He had 2 touchdown receptions, 3 catches total for 86 yards. He had a 43-yard touchdown reception and I think a 31-yard touchdown reception. Just a mammoth. He's 6'6", over 200 pounds, just a huge tight end. Yeah, I didn't realize how tall he was until I got in the field for the interview. I'm like, oh my god. And then Avon Lake, uh, off of my games onto another Believeland game. Avon Lake defeated Benedictine 37-15. The Shoreman defense just kind of manhandled Benedictine all night, causing 3 first-half turnovers and a fourth in the second half, cashed in 21 points off of them, and they led 17-0 at halftime. So just kind of a standout defensive performance, kind of a statement defensive performance. Is obviously they play the juggernaut that is Chardon this week. We'll get into Chardon's game here in a little bit because that was something. I just looking through the stats, I was speechless. I can't wait. I know the energy at Chardon Moral is going to be phenomenal all night. It's their first home game of the year, and it's a tough opponent. I think Avon Lake's 2-0. Chardon's 1-1, so they're going to be looking to get back in the win column at home. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game on Friday. So definitely make sure you're following my Twitter and staying up to date with that because that'll be a show. Do you want to take yours away before I dive into my volleyball?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and wrap up last week. I covered the Hudson at North Canton Hoover game, and that was the Ian Ludwig show. He went over 300 yards on the week, um, 3 touchdowns, I believe. I don't remember offhand, but Hoover had no answer for him, and he's going to be in the running for some postseason awards for sure in Northeast Ohio. Other games that were covered on Believeland, Brexview, or excuse me, Brecksville Broadview Heights defeated Maple Heights 27-6. We had Marshawn Powers at that game. St. Ignatius defeated Mentor in a close battle, 16-14. And then over the weekend, it was Paramus Catholic beating Cleveland Heights 43-41 in a back and forth game. And then Saturday evening, Rootstown 41, Champion 0. I was also covering that game after it was postponed Friday after the storms. And then on Sunday, in that nationally televised game on ESPN, St. Ed's defeated Our Lady of Good Counsel out of Maryland 28-7. So there's a quick rundown of the football games that were covered on the Believeland Media platform. And go ahead and talk about the volleyball here as I get a visitor.
Oh, we have a guest star appearance I didn't even know about. All right. Before we do the volleyball, I want to give a shout out to Ian Ludwig, as you mentioned. Our Brunswick Automart Division 1 through 4 Northeast Ohio High School Player of the Week. Rushed for 345 yards and 3 touchdowns, setting the single game record in their 45-8 win over Hoover. And then I want to give a shout out to Eric Geddes, our Daystar Ford Player of the Week for Division 5 through 7. He and the G-Men kind of on the scoreboard says that they torched Warren JFK, but all the research I've done on it, it was close at the half, but they kind of pulled away with it. Geddes threw for 255 yards. I think 7 of 9 passing is what I've seen all week. 4 touchdowns to go along with 101 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. So 6 total touchdowns, over 300 total yards, just a pure, absolute dominating victory, both through the air and on the ground, in a 61-26 win over Warren JFK. I talked to him after the Cardinal game a little bit after his interview about the Warren JFK game from last year. They lost by 1, so I could only imagine how good near 40-point victory could feel coming back after that from last year. So on to volleyball, I did actually see Geddes last night at Garfield's volleyball game against Champion. Before I get into anything, Garfield won set 3, 25-6. I there were just so many highlights on my Twitter and like so many videos that I took that didn't make it to Twitter just because like it was just highlight after highlight after highlight. I didn't have time to give context. And
Right.
I had compilation videos made for the third set and the fourth set that were put in the article. If you haven't read that yet, go check it out. It was a good one. So many good highlights. Just kind of a phenomenal volleyball match. I know a 3-1 win doesn't sound like it was crazy, but besides the third set, Champion kind of hung around, and made it hard on Garfield to win the whole thing as a whole. At one point in the fourth set, Champion was up 22-16, and next thing you knew, it was 25-23, and Garfield was walking away with a win.
Mm.
I'd like to give some kudos to Montana McGranahan. I had talked to her last night about it after the game. She struggled a lot. You know, spikes hitting the net and just nothing was really going her way. Just some errors, but she was a part of that huge comeback in the fourth set. She had a pair of aces and I think a kill that ended up tying. Or no, she had two aces that had tied it at 23. Um, Basically, single-handedly willing her team back into it en route to the win. So I just want to give her a shout out. It was impressive. I've never seen so many aces hit consecutively, and it happened 2 or 3 times last night. Kyler Grace had a couple of aces consecutively. Montana had four total. So just kind of a rundown of the stats. Mandy Cardinal, 12 kills, 4 blocks. Montana, 12 kills, 4 aces, as I mentioned, and 12 digs. Just again, like a rough night, but she kind of did it all, everything she could to help her team win, and she was a big part of it. Reese Shirky, 27 assists, a kill, and 12 digs. When you want to talk about doing it all, I mean, that's the epitome of it. Kyla Grace, to go along with her 3 aces, she had 11 digs, and Hannah Koenig had 6 kills, and probably some of the most high energy kills you'll ever see. Every time it happened, the bench is up cheering. You know, her team on the court screaming and everything. Just a lot of high energy, a lot of momentum. And that's kind of what volleyball is that I've kind of learned from watching my sisters play and now covering it. It is a really big energy game. You know, if you have the momentum, things are just gonna go your way, and that's something that it's fun to appreciate for sure. And then she had a block as well, a big time one at that. I think that was a part of their big time third set to set them up for the victory in the fourth set. And then my other game, this is from last week, the day of the podcast. Crestwood swept Mogador 3-0 in their home and season opener. Mogador kind of put up a fight through the first couple of sets, but then Crestwood was able to just kind of run away with it en route to the sweep. They did sweep the day. Their JV team did come away victorious earlier on. Maddie Dustman, 12 kills, 4 blocks, 10 digs, a double-double if this is basketball terms. Jasmine Stevens, 9 kills, 13 assists, 6 digs. Hannah Ward had 7 kills, a block, and 5 digs. And Audrey Fushi, 3 aces, 2 kills, and 3 digs. Everybody kind of doing a little bit of everything, following their jobs. Another thing with the high energy and the kills, that was another big one. Every time it seemed like maybe Mogador would creep back into it and maybe even find themselves with an advantage. Somebody, Maddie, Jasmine, or even Hannah would come through with maybe a block or a kill that would then all of a sudden just shift things in the way of Crestwood. Also, go check that article out as well. That was another phenomenal volleyball match that I've been a pleasure to cover so far, and I'm excited for the rest of the season. Do you want to start off our week 3 preview?
Yeah, I can go ahead and get us started on where Believeland and our esteemed writers will be this weekend. We have, let's see, I will be in Massillon for the Battle of the Tigers, Mansfield and Massillon squaring off. Mansfield's coming off of a big win against Canfield, last year's state champion, while Massillon rode the momentum wave of being Valdosta and took care of Glen Oak rather handily. So it'll be interesting this week. Definitely a more stiffer opponent for Massillon, but um, definitely favored, especially playing at home. Paul Brown's a very difficult place for a visiting team to come into and escape victorious, as Valdosta proved by getting out to that early lead, and then Massillon just turned it on. Um, then we have Kevin, the Godfather, Papa Kev, old man Kev, whatever you want to call him. He will be at the alma mater, James A. Garfield, as they take on Normandy. You talked about Eric Geddes looking to continue that streak and that excellent start to his season that he has. Garfield is 2-0. Normandy is 0-1. They're coming off of a loss to Streetsboro. And then we have Marshawn Powers. He's going to be in Avon for a battle of undefeated teams. Glenville travels to Avon, both coming off of big victories. Avon defeated Canton McKinley pretty handily, and Glenville took care of Olentangy Liberty. So those three games will be covered, and you have a couple potentially, and we have
Yeah.
Michael Patterson covering one, and you'll go ahead and give that breakdown.
So I'm gonna go a little in depth on the Chardon game. They played Tiffin Columbia. This is their first of two long trips for a football game. They play Bishop Watterson, I think, in 2 weeks, which is a trip down to Columbus. They had to go all the way to Tiffin on Friday. Um, just kind of shocked. Throughout the Princeton game, I would check. I spend most of my time on Twitter, and I see scores. I see updates from X Preps. Chardon was losing this game for most of the night, and they kind of turning around in the third quarter, putting up 28 points in the third quarter to kind of balloon a little bit of a lead with a 14-point fourth quarter by Columbia and Tiffin. Gave them a 1-point 50-49 victory. You won't believe me when I say this, but Will Francis, Chardon's quarterback, did not complete a single pass. He did to the other team for a pick six. That's besides the point. 25 carries for 294 yards and 2 touchdowns. Caleb Hewitt, 8 attempts, 73 yards and 2 touchdowns, 2 pass breakups on defense. Vinny Colombi had 10 attempts, 45 yards and 3 touchdowns. I was shocked reading these stats. Speechless, as I mentioned, I didn't believe he could put up 49 points without completing a single pass.
Right.
Especially in today's day and age of where, big play offenses come from, the deep passes. And then I want to give a defensive shout out to Alexander Ash, 18 tackles, 10 solo, a sack, and 2.5 tackles for loss. Coming off a big defensive week at West Geauga as well. He continued, but kind of stepped it up a notch against Columbian. So I want to give him a big shout out. So it seems like Chardon has a very explosive offense, and Avon Lake, their opponent for this week, has a very gritty defense. Avon Lake is 2-0. Chardon's looking to get back in the win column. They defeated West Geauga 35-0 in week 1, losing by 1 in week 2. I know for sure Coach Hoot's going to get them right, and they're going to come out guns firing at home. It's going to be their home opener, so I'm excited for the energy. And then a potential second game, waiting on some information on that one. Bedford and NDCL. Bedford is 0-2. They're looking for their first win of the year. They lost to Akron East last week, 13-12. So they came close, unable to get over that hump. They lost 16-8 in week 1, so nothing too bad. Just looking to get over that hump. And then shout out to Coach Baldessare and NDCL for not only his first win at NDCL, but their first win of the season. He was a great guy to talk to when I was there for their season preview. I'm excited to hopefully maybe cover their game this week, and if not, I'm definitely looking forward to covering them in a couple weeks. I know I'm slated for their game against St. Vincent St. Mary's at the moment. I can't wait. He was such a pleasure to talk to. He's a big-time college coach. He had coached at college for the past, I think 10 years, he said, different colleges. Notre Dame College, most notably. But now taking a step down in a way down to the high school level, capturing his first victory with a 38-8 rout over Lakeside. NDCL looks to continue their winning ways and improve to 2-1 on the season, whether that game's at Bedford on Friday or at NDCL on Saturday. But now for the Battle of Gates Mills, in a way. I don't think it's a legit rivalry, but both teams are located in Gates Mills. Hawken and Gilmore Academy. Hawken is coming off 2 big-time wins, one against Rhodes, 49-7, and then one against Trinity on a Saturday, 48-12. Gilmore Academy is 3-0. Interesting. They defeated Valley Forge. Oh, okay. This is just an error on Max Preps. They defeated Valley Forge 35-6 in week 1, and defeated Warrensville Heights 49-18. 35-6 over Valley Forge, and 49-18 over Warrensville Heights. But only 2-0. There's a score entered for Saturday as well, but same score. So I'm gonna trust that they only played one game. Maybe I'm wrong. I would never want to play after a full varsity game. I'd never want to play another one on Saturday, especially against the same team.
Right.
I'm okay. I might still hate somebody from the other side. I don't know if I want to just yet. Give me a week. So Battle of Gates Mills, as I said, Hawkins, a team I previewed earlier this offseason. They're obviously not into the CVC games just yet, but I know that that's been a challenge that they've been kind of. They're looking forward to having here in a couple weeks. Is playing the Valley Division, or no, the Chagrin Division, no longer the Valley Division. So they're going to be playing teams like Chagrin Falls, no longer playing the Cardinals and the Berkshires of the world anymore. And then, yeah. So Battle of Gates Mills, Michael's got a good one, I believe. I'd like to believe both two private schools, both have turf fields. Gilmore Academy is very good at baseball. I made a trip early on in baseball season, early on for me, writing for Believeland. And then I have a Hawken game, I believe, next week before I make my trip to NDCL. Who's that one against? I know it, but I don't know it. Anyways, we'll talk about that one next week when I'm fresh for week 4.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, week 4. Man. Whew. Man, it was rough as a player, but it's even worse as a reporter trying to figure out what week it is and who you're playing. Oh, man.
A lot of us have been pulling double or even triple duty here for the first couple weeks. So now that we're getting closer to conference play, it will start to slow down for the most part.
Yeah, it'll be a lot easier once you know, because being aware of, some of the teams that I follow closer to CVC teams and the WRC teams, I know everybody in those conferences. Well, Valley Division and WRC. I'm very familiar with the two conferences, CVC, Valley Division, obviously, coming from Cardinal. Senior banner, right there.
Right
if any of you noticed over the past couple weeks. And then just WRC, I followed Kenston softball pretty closely throughout baseball and softball season, and Chardon as well, softball. And then you covered Kenston State Championship game.
Yeah,
and now I'm following
about the regionals on.
Yeah, I did have their game against Norway, which is funny because Lucas Kaltenbach had recognized me from that game against Norway when he was coming over to me for the season preview interview.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. And that was a long time ago. So it's good to know that I wasn't haven't been forgotten. And shout out Bridger Bischoff. I was over on Kenston's side in Westg's old press box because it was a lot more room, and I had a good angle, and I was by myself, so there was no issues. I wasn't bumping elbows with somebody, but I was walking up the stairs of those bleachers, and Bridger Bischoff remembered me from. I don't think did he come on for the interview? No, it was Parker Monday. I think we wanted Bridger as well, but it was Parker Monday. But he remembered me because I interviewed him also at Norway, him and Nico Georgiou.
Yeah.
So shout out Bridger, if you see this, I appreciate you remembering me. That was pretty cool. Yeah, so I think that's probably one of the best perks of the job is, you do something pretty cool like that. They'll never forget it, and I think that's the best part about college. Some of these smaller colleges that we're going to be covering here soon that we'll dive into. Actually, we might as well get into it now.
Yeah, you got one tomorrow night.
How about some Thursday night college football?
Yeah.
Hiram opens their season at home against Heidelberg tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Their football Twitter said, "Be there or be square." So you heard it here first. Be there or be square. I'll be there up in the press box. If you see me, give me a wave. I just want to give a huge shout out to Hiram's athletic director of sports communications, John Alfs. He has been a tremendous help over the past couple of days. I told him that I was interested in doing their volleyball games as well, and he sent me both volleyball rosters and football rosters for his programs. Just a big shout out. He's very, very excited to have me coming out for all Hiram volleyball and football home games, and I'm super excited to start my first fall with Believeland as a high school and college sports reporter. Same thing for you as well.
Right.
Who do you got coming up? Well, I know your teams don't have any home games this week, but
Right.
in due time.
Yes, yes. Both of them start on the road, but Kent State gets their season started tomorrow down in Florida. As long as the storms surpass, they'll be going
Right.
up against UCF with head coach by Gus Malzahn, formerly of Auburn, and it's the start of the Kenny Burns era in Kent, and that will be exciting. He's a very likable coach in the times that I've gotten to speak with him, either in press conferences virtually or talking to him after the spring game. He has a lot of energy, and I think it'll be good for Kent football. I know they are definitely overshadowed by basketball and baseball, but they do have some great talent there. So hopefully they'll be able to put some pieces together and have a good season. And then also on Saturday, Mount Union begins their trek for national championship number 14. They'll be traveling to Defiance to face off against Defiance College. Um, but yeah, their first home game isn't for a couple more weeks. So yeah, it'll be I think Kent's first home game is 2 weeks from Saturday, so it'll be a little bit before I'm covering in person, but I look forward to covering them or following along online and through television here to get the season started for both teams, and it'll be a fun fall for both of us. You with Hiram with
Yeah.
football and volleyball on top of your high school coverage, and myself with Kent and Mount Union, and then we'll blink and it'll be basketball season, and
Oh
we'll be
man,
talking
don't
hoops.
even don't even get me started on basketball season. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that because that means it's wintertime.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh.
Not ready for that, but it was nice
We'll get
and fall like today. Some
yeah,
people wanted to
yeah,
wear a coat. I didn't, but it was very comfortable. It was nice not to walk out the door and feel like you're sweating before you even make it to
yeah,
your car. So
yeah. Oh man, I walked out of my I walked out of my house this morning on the way to getting ready to head up to class at Kent Geauga. I was like, man, is it is it August or is it like September or
October
like
even, yeah,
November?
it was
Uh,
definitely
had no
definitely
idea.
fall-like weather.
It was either I was about to watch the World Series tonight or the Cavs are about to play in a couple hours. I wasn't thinking about it still being primetime MLB season as that's winding down. I want to give a shout out to Alec Caberna for coming on
Yes.
a couple days ago. Kyle McCord has been named the starting quarterback. I just kind of wanted to share that if you haven't seen it yet. I did ask him about it, and I think he gave great insight, and his answer was correct in a way. He did say that both
Right.
will be playing. That was
Yep.
confirmed by Coach Day yesterday, I believe, that Devin Brown will play and Kyle McCord will be the starter. So we'll have him on before the Notre Dame game, and that will probably be when we'll find out who is the starter for the rest of the season.
Right.
Um, make your predictions now. Depending on how old you are, maybe make a bet on it if you feel the absolute need to. I will not.
Yes. I did forget to mention, Marshawn and I will be at Tom Benson
Oh
Stadium on
yes,
Sunday for the HBCU Classic featuring Morehouse College and Virginia Union. So we're definitely looking forward to that. I did have an opportunity earlier today to talk with Jonathan Simmons of Cleveland.com. He's an alumnus of Morehouse. So look for that episode to drop probably around the same time this does. So if check out the YouTube video of that or wherever you get your podcasts. They'll have Kevin will have that posted. Um, Anything else before we get out of here, Cameron?
No, I think we're set up for some pretty good football this week. I don't have much volleyball for the rest of the week, but I got college football and then loads of high school football for you guys coming Friday, Saturday, and then some college on Sunday. This isn't the NFL season. What are we doing playing football on
Oh,
Sundays?
yeah.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yes.
So just kind of gonna wrap it up. Anything else to add before we wind it down? Nope. Well,
Go ahead
thank
and
you guys so
wind.
much for thank you guys so much for watching your Believeland podcast or listening on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, however in the world you choose to entertain yourselves with the Believeland Prep Podcast, go follow Believeland Media on all of your social media platforms: TikTok, X or Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything you could ever imagine. YouTube as well if you'd like to watch this in video form. Thank you guys so much. Peace.